Hi, I'm Evan Reinheimer. This video is all about my travels in Venice, Italy, to photograph the neighborhood of Burano. Hey, so thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys are enjoying this throwback travel series that I've put together. I'd also really appreciate it if you took the time to subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to build up my channel quite a bit right now, so I'm going to be posting a lot more of these throwback travel stories. And if you're enjoying them, subscribing to my channel is a great way to get notified when I post them. This video is going to be kind of like a 2-for-1 deal. I'm going to talk about 2 of my photographs, but of the same location taken many years apart. So I first traveled to Venice back in 2012. I went there as part of a longer trip that I was doing in Italy, photographing a few different places, which I'll make videos for. And I went to Venice at the very end of that trip and was only there for a few days that April of 2012. Back then on that first trip, I got absolutely no photographs of Venice at all. The weather and the wind never really materialized for me to take those photographs. It was on that trip in 2012 that I discovered the neighborhood of Burano, and I only found it because one day I ended up taking one of the water bus rides all the way to the end, just kind of like as a sightseeing thing to do, and thankfully it ended in this place called Burano. Venice is like a conglomerate of islands. The main area that people usually visit when they go to Venice is this big grouping of islands right in the center of the lagoon, but there are also other islands in the lagoon, and one of these tinier neighborhoods is called Burano. All the houses in Burano are painted really unique colors. So at that time, in April of 2012, the weather and the wind never really cooperated in a way that I could get the photograph that I had hoped to get in Burano, and I had to fly back home to the US after being in Venice for just a few days. And on that plane ride home, I kept kind of obsessing over this photograph that I wanted to take there. And by the time I landed, booked another flight back to Venice for the end of June. And my plan was to just stay in Venice as long as it took until I could get this photograph that I kept obsessing over in Burano. So I went back there at the end of June in 2012, and then on July 1st, everything came together and I took this photograph of Burano that I was super happy with. Came out exactly how I wanted it and instantly became one of my best-selling photographs. Then in 2018, I went back to the same canal in Burano to do an updated photograph of the canal that I had photographed back in 2012. In 2018, I had updated my camera equipment quite a bit, so I knew I could get a much higher quality image and was hoping to capture a really nice but very similar photograph to the one I had done in 2012, but in a horizontal format. So at this time in 2018, I had spent almost a week in Venice waiting for the wind conditions and weather conditions to be optimal for me to be able to fly my kite safely in this area, because at the end of the canal, there's a little open area that I could stand in and launch a kite from, but it's not very big, and to be able to have my kite carry my camera up into the sky in the direction and the exact space that I wanted it in, the wind had to be coming from a pretty specific direction, and the wind was very light this day, so I had to use one of my lighter wind Rokoku kites, and thankfully the wind was just strong enough to lift my big heavy Sony A7R II with a nice wide Zeiss lens on it up into the air to photograph this canal. And it's interesting to look at the 2012 and the 2018 photographs next to each other. You'll notice some of the houses actually changed colors because, as I was told, if you own one of these buildings in Burano and you want to paint it, you have to submit a request to the local government there for a list of the approved colors that you can paint your building. An interesting story that I was told about why the houses in Burano are painted up these vibrant colors like this is because back in the day when fishermen would go go out fishing and they would come back either at night or sometimes they might come back a little intoxicated. The legend goes, how true it is I don't know, that these fishermen would come back from their day out on the sea and they would inevitably walk into the wrong home and pass out in the wrong house. So they painted up the buildings different colors so that you know, well, I live in the blue house, or I live in the pink house, or I live in the orange house. I thought that was a neat story. Whether it's true or not, I don't really know. All right, well, that's the story of photographing Burano that I have for you. Again, if you are enjoying these videos, please let me know in the comments if you think there's a way I can improve them. Also, let me know about that in the comments. If you have any questions too, feel free to ask them there. Please subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate that, and this way you won't miss any of these upcoming videos that I have for you. Thank you very much for watching.